Grace Howard. The sole reason I give this game a chance. Her tomboyish look and voice, exposed perfect midriff, her motherly energy, her the mechanics look, her big personalities, and feet. 先輩、収録が始まりましたよ。Since when? グレイス・ハーバードからです。Oh. I've been in a great training arc ever since I got Vivian because she is my entire reason that I give this game a chance. So, I want to actually play her by pair her with Vivian, and I just got her signature on the day I start writing this script, so hell yeah! But during my training arc, I noticed that she is rather weak. I know this video is going to be a self-report of my Sensero skill issue to the entire community, but please, any Grace main that will stumble on this video, I beg for your tips and tricks for Grace. I suck at playing her, so take whatever I say in this video with a massive grain of salt. I think it is worth talking about how she worked to start off, also to pad this video length. Grace is an anomaly character, a class that is all about proccing anomaly effects. She does her job by mainly using her skill and sometimes ultimate. Her gameplay and or game plan is very simple. You normal attack until her sub stacks are full, then you use her skill. If she has enough energy, her skill becomes super good at anomaly build up with max sub stack. This core passive kinda hinted at how you should be playing her. Now, if I remember correctly, which is likely isn't, back in the YESO day of 1.0, Grace has 3 different build or playstyle being Chalk Grace, Grid Grace, and Disordered Grace. Actually, maybe Chalk Grace and Disordered Grace pretty much the same thing. All of which I presume require a decent amount of field time. Again, I don't really know how she works since I lucksack with Julian and used her to carry my ass ever since then. Skip to 1.7, the Mockingbird patch. Grace has a career change and now is a full-time driver for Disordered team, specifically when paired with Vivian. And thanks to Grace's training arc, it led me to discover that Grace has actual combo string, something I did not expect to exist in this game at all. Consider Sensero demographic is casual first and foremost, but I digress. This is the combo string that I have learned from Grace's video on YouTube. First is normal 3 times into skill, into 4th normal, then end with skill. Another is directional input, just a kind of direction, nothing crazy like requiring you to do a DP motion, plus normals 3 times into skill, then normals 2 more times into skill, then 4th normal into skill. As convoluted, complicated, or intimidated as it might seem, it is really fun to do once you get the hang of it. You might think, if she is fun to play, why is this video? Well, sometimes fun factor just isn't enough and Grace is unfortunately one of those cases. One of my issues with Grace is damage. It's just not high enough, and I'm talking about her being a disorder driver. I mean, look at this disorder damage. Granted, this damage probably, or very likely, has to do with my team composition. I'm sorry if this team gives you an aneurysm. I am still new to anomaly stuff, okay? From my understanding, the driver unit tends to not really care about their own damage, but more of how they can utilize their teammate kits or how can they contribute to the team damage while they are on the field. But Grace doesn't have any support capability. No damage amplification buff for allies, nor defense reduction debuff for the enemy. All she has is raw number on anomaly build up, a rather flawed anomaly build up at that. For some reason, the designer gave her a split element. They give the unit in a class that is all about inflicting status ailment while applying a certain element on enemy until the corresponding ailment proc a split element without any way to make her normal attack inflicting electric damage. But they give Soldier 11 and Attacker unit a way to convert her physical normal damage into pure fire damage with 100% uptime. I'm not saying Soldier 11 shouldn't have this ability, okay? I love me some Nero's daughter, but if they can make Soldier 11 deal all fire damage, they should make Grace normal be able to deal lightning damage too. Thankfully, the physical part of her normals doesn't apply any anomaly build-up, so she doesn't pollute her own anomaly build-up. But this means she has to mostly rely on her core passive and skill, both normal and EX version, to inflict anomaly build-up. This is where the first problem rears its head. Because she has to fulfill some arbitrary condition just to do her job, it makes her anomaly build-up slower than other anomaly units, or at least it feels slower than other anomaly units. Okay, you can say, isn't that like pretty much every single unit in the game? And I agree, yes, you are right. But the thing is, unlike every other unit in the game, Grace doesn't have the way to shield her own condition. She actually has to fulfill it. Outside of her core passive, there is 3 more ways for her to build up anomaly bar. Her third normal, dodge counter, and ult. 2 of which are not that good to say the least. Her ult is fine, you are more or less guaranteed 1 shock proc per ult. It's the other 2 options that are bugging me. At first, I didn't even notice that her third normals contribute to her anomaly build-up, considering how minuscule it is compared to her core passive with her non-EX skill at max zap stack. But hey, at least it's better than nothing since you are going to do it repeatedly anyway. If you are using her as a driver unit, and every tiny bit will help in the long run, so there's that. But what truly irks me is her dodge counter. It's not bad at building up anomaly if we considering how fast it is. By fast I mean the animation commitment. But my problem with her DC is that it has probably the worst iframe among all other DC in this game. Wow, I can't believe my previous video and this video covered a character with the worst iframe in their respective game. Talk about coincidence. Shameless plug aside, when I said she has the worst iframe on dodge counter, I said this from my feeling. There is no evidence like actual frame data to prove that. The best I can do is this poorly made comparison with this boss.
From my limited testing time with shown units for fact-checking my own script.
For some reason I got hit during or after dodge counter, less with Juyuan, Nicole and Rina, but seem to get hit around the same amount with Cherry Gnome over here. Since I don't know the exact frame data, so my best guess is, with the exception of Rina, every range unit within this list has the same amount of iframe, but their DC will move the character's models out of the attack range, even by just a little bit. Mrs. Galactic Fairy probably has the same amount as Grace, but most of the time what players do is just press skill and let her do a free open concert. With Grace, she has to stay on the field for quite some time. The shortest field time I can think of is to swap her out as soon as she proc shock. And to even further dogpiling on her DC, it doesn't provide any zap stack, so it can result in slower shock proc. Sure, it adds to anomaly build up, but to proc shock really fast with DC, you'll have to do it constantly. And as we established, her DC has turbo iframe, so the margin of error is very tight. From a limited time I tried to practice with this thing in Deadass, I can only do up to 2 DC before I got hit. I don't know if it is my own skill issue, or which is the most likely reason honestly, or they somehow hardcode it to be able to do at max 2 DC, but that doesn't make a sense. Let's come back to her normals, specifically her fourth one. I'm going to let you guys guess what is my gripe with it. 3, 2, 1. Okay, time's up. If you are thinking about range, then yes, you are correct. But not because it is too short. I can understand why her fourth normal has a rather short range, since it compact with iframe until she finished the get down. And it will max out her zap stack. As good as it is, it has to have some sort of risk reward to it. Players who play her really close like she is a melee unit will be rewarded heavily for their pair of metal balls. But I would prefer that the rest of her normals have the same range as her Gedan. It would massively encourage all familiarized players to play her really close to the enemy. And since we talked about her iframe for quite a while now, I think it's a good time to talk about her interruption resistance. On top of having the worst iframe on DC, she also has the worst resistance to any interruption in her gameplay. That is to say, almost not existing at all. Outside of her DC, EX skill 4th normal and ultimate, she literally has no means of IR for a unit that's meant to stay on the field. Yes, I include iframe into a part of resistance to interruption, since you won't get I'm sorry, since you won't get interrupted during that time. And she has no innate II percentage increase in her kit either. So sometimes it can feel like you are driving your old car with half broken, half working chassis, suspension system and headlight through a road that has multiple uncolored speed bumps chunk with varied height throughout that road at night. Sure, it works and it will get you there, but man, it doesn't feel good to do that. And at times it can feel like I'm not rewarding for trying to play her properly. No faster energy regen because that stuff is locked behind her M1. I want to try quick swap with her, but her animation seems way too short to quick swap intuitively. Then there is her build. She can run pen ratio on this 5, but I have zero idea on how that actually works. I kinda get that it's like some sort of defense ignore, but I'm not here to learn math. Also, she can use Genaki and Bernie's set, but I feel like it makes her apply shock noticeably slower. But to be fair to Sensero Dev, all of my complaints here are pretty much a nitpick and can be chalked up to Lamau skill issue. Get good. But these small flaws and nitpick will add up and can sometimes make any particular characters isn't fun to play, or the reward just isn't worth the time and effort to get better at that character. Luckily for me, Grace is really fun to play thanks to her tool combo, therefore worth my time and effort, which is also a testament to how good Sensero game design team is. So there isn't much to talk about her fix or buff, even though I talk to such length about how she can be isn't fun to play. Because the devs can just give her 1 or 2 buffs to her problematic aspect and she is good to go. Since it's just a bunch of small but noticeable flaws in her kit, just fix a couple and let the player overcome the rest with their skill. There is a lot of ways that she can be buffed. For example, her overcap set. The overcap set can be converted to energy for her. Gives her the ability to convert her physical normals into lightning damage, maybe through the usage of EX skill or ultimate, or give her core passive the ability to amplify allies' damage when enemy is in shock state. They can give her more option in team building by adding something like when paired with other supporters or anomaly units, because Bellow as a faction is hell whack. Make her normal skill with max sap stack act similar to Zhu trying her best to do Dante's Gun Stinger, specifically in DMC5, although entry doesn't have the follow-up to continue the move. That is to say, it can be used as a dodge and has property of 1. They can even just give her a pen ratio conversion to either anomaly mastery or efficiency, or both, to her base kit. I would take that considering her signature engine substat is pen ratio, but personally I would like to see 2 buffs in particular, one to her DC and another to her anomaly build up. The buff for her DC is that after Grace successfully DC, she can go into 4th normal by holding normal attack button when the player initiates her DC. Sap stack gained through this method will not exceed set normal limits. We'll mention this in a bit. This is to help with her abysmal iframe, positioning, and get to max sap stack faster. Also, if you have her M1, she will give your team energy even faster. As for her next buff, I wish she has something similar to Soldier 11 core passive, with a slight revert to her kit, of course. Sap can be overcapped by 5. If Grace uses skill within a small time frame after Sap reaches its normal limit, Grace will enter overdrive state for 5 seconds. In overdrive state, Grace's normal attack will deal lightning damage
and gain anomaly mastery equal to X% of her pen ratio.
If Sap is overcapped during this time frame before using next skill, Grace will not enter overdrive mode and end overdrive state immediately if she is in overdrive. Overdrive state hammer will not count down when Grace is off field and can be triggered again during overdrive state. Is her rework too strong? I don't know, I have zero idea what Sensero math, but I want to give her a high execution flow with tangential risk and reward. If you can maintain her overdrive state throughout the battle, it will show that you put your time and effort into maining her. You should have something to feel proud of or feeling rewarded about that. And maintain the feeling of if you want a more comfy experience, you have to gacha, or let's be honest here, pay. Because this is still a gacha game, it has to make profit for it to continue. As for my reasoning to buff her DC is that there is no way they would actually spend time, money and manpower to make and integrate new animation for any limited characters, as it can be costly and time consuming. Standard characters has even less of a chance to get a new animation, let alone a buff. So I opted for using whatever already exists to help with that issue. And that's it for my complaint and buffs or Grace. There is another issue I didn't mention in this video, namely her animation looks way too similar and it led me to overcap her sap stack. But that at least can be mitigated by actually get good and spend time with her combo. What do you think about the current state of Grace? Is she viable? Is she too weak? Let me know in the comment. I am a very small channel so I can read all of your comments. Also, feel free to call me out on my skill issue. I wish you a good night and a great day ahead of you. Hope to see you again in the next video. Bye bye!